An army of birds that can't fly invade Western Australia. And it's up to a ragtag team to piss fart around and wipe out as many of these feathered dickheads as possible. However, it's not as easy as it seems, as the emus are armed to the beaks and are led by a big titted queen. It's a true-ish story of angry birds in the Emu War. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, Aussie indie film The Emu War, directed here by John Campbell, who has some TV shows under his belt, along with one of the stars of the film, Lisa Finneberg, and actor-producer Jay Morrissey, with this being his directorial feature film debut. We meet our pseudo-lead of the film, the Major, who had a mission that went tits up, and his whole platoon was wiped out by some lanky, angry birds. To pour salt on the wound, many years prior, an emu took his young son and was never seen again. And due to this traumatic experience, his wife self-deleted. The Major hits the bottle hard, and his daughter desperately tries to pull him out of this self-loathing hole. All the while, it seems like these lanky, feathered bastards have taken over Western Australia and have declared war on the public. But Pissy Pants Prime Minister Harold Holt is having none of it! He orders a crack team of misfits to go straight into this tit sandwich that is known as the Emu Base. And he's got just the man to lead them. The Major pulls together a team consisting of one mulleted loose unit, an Indigenous Australian who's got some sick food hunting skills, and the Major's daughter, who disguises herself as one of the boys to try and gain the respect of her father. But this is not the Prime Minister's only play, no. He puts together Team B as well. One is Australia's greatest impersonator comedian disguised as an emu herself, going undercover. And the other is Australia's horniest man to attempt to seduce the incredibly toey Emu Queen. If this all sounds batshit crazy, you'd be right. What ensues is an over-the-top, absolute wacky parody of Australian history, and I'm all bloody for it. This film is super self-aware, anything but serious, has some gross-out gags here and there, and takes known historical figures and events and plays funny buggers with them. We get the aforementioned Prime Minister Harold Holt, who won't stop pissing his pants and making inappropriate jokes constantly. We also get an Asian Ned Kelly, who's an online viral sensation somehow, and an emu titty-suckling man who's fighting alongside the enemy. For those of you at home scratching your head about an Emu War, yes, this actually happened and is a part of Australian history. In 1932, the Australian military was sent to wipe out a massive part of the emu population, as crops in Western Australia were being ransacked and destroyed by these massive birds. And the fuck thing was, the emus won. This film is obviously using that historical event, taking massive liberties with it, just for some shits and giggles. This film is exactly what the doctor ordered. It's right in the wheelhouse of the batshit crazy stuff that I find funny. This film does jump around a lot though, a bit choppy with timelines and memories. Some of it is not so obvious at first, but you do catch on. And on that note, most of the scenes almost feel like self-contained sketches in their own right. But in all honesty, that does work in the film's favour, because it never slows down and it never gets boring. There's even a little bit of a twisty twist just before the ending involving a certain character. It's hard to describe the style of humour of the film. Surface level, you might say maybe kind of sort of, it's almost like that Auntie Donna bizarreness with the Naked Gun style parody, and even that's not doing the film justice. This film is absolutely hilarious. I laughed out loud many times. Most of it being really good writing, but also the execution, along with things being said and done in the film that you wouldn't necessarily see in your average movie. This film was written by Australian comedians Jonathan Schuster, Dane Simpson, and Irvi Majunda, along with directors John Campbell, Lisa Finneberg, and Jay Morrissey. Only this style of indie comedy could come from the minds of Australian comedians. It really hit the funny bone for me hard, I've got to admit. This style of humour is right up my alley. We also get a shit ton of emu puppetry that adds to the zaniness of the movie, along with some glaringly obvious blue screen. That's right, in Australia we have blue screens. But in all honesty, it all adds to the humour and zaniness of the movie. This film is the perfect kind of madness, indie, comedic fun that you would find at the awesome Monster Fest where it was shown. It's great to see zany Australian comedies on screen again. We had a magnificent film industry / movement in the 70s and 80s called Ozploitation, and this film fits absolutely perfectly amongst that calibre. It was a lot of indie sort of horror and comedies made by anyone for everyone. It was kind of the working man's Aussie entertainment, and it was definitely huge with our drive-in culture of the day. If you want to know more about the scene and the history of Ozploitation, I highly recommend the documentary Not Quite Hollywood. And it's good to see that sort of movement trying to make a comeback. I would totally prefer this low-budget indie batshit crazy comedy than anything that Hollywood shits out. Honestly, I had an absolute blast with this movie. And that runtime of 1 hour and 12 minutes, more of that please. Go support this film. It's doing a little bit of a tour in selected cinemas around Australia. It's also getting a Blu-ray release through Umbrella Entertainment, so go check out their website if it tickles those Australian comedy balls. Yeah guys, the Emu War, batshit crazy, absolute zaniness comedy. I fucking loved it. Anyway guys, that's my cheeky little review of the Emu War. Write down below if you've seen it. If you have not, are you excited about it? What are your thoughts on it if you have seen it? But more importantly, what is your favourite indie Ozploitation film? And of course, if you've made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give it an episode weekly. And I'll see you back here next week for the next review, but until then, stay spooky, kids.